My best friend of 15 years moved in to help me grieve my grandmother's death. Instead, she forged my signature, stole $47,000, and secretly plotted with my cheating ex to take the house. She even told my coworkers I was mentally unstable to cover her tracks. But today, she came home to find the locks changed and a private investigator's file waiting for her. I never thought I'd be posting here, but after everything that's happened in the last 6 months, I need to get this off my chest before I explode. I'm using a throwaway because some of the people involved still don't know the full story, and I want to keep it that way for now. This is long, but I promise it's worth it. Buckle up. My name is Emily, I'm 32, and up until recently my best friend Sarah was the one person I trusted more than anyone else in the world. We'd been inseparable since we were 17, met in senior year when her family moved to our town. She was the outgoing one, always the life of the party. Quick with a joke, the friend who remembered every birthday and showed up with ice cream after every breakup. I was quieter, the one who listened. We balanced each other. Or at least, I thought we did. 3 months ago, my grandmother passed away. Grandma Rose was everything to me. She raised me more than my own parents did after they split when I was little. She had this big old house on the edge of town with the wraparound porch and the garden she tended every single day until her health failed. When she got sick, stage 4 cancer, she made me promise I'd take care of the place. "It's your roots, Em," she said, squeezing my hand in the hospital bed. Sarah was there too, crying right along with me, holding Grandma's other hand. She visited almost as much as I did those last weeks. I was grateful. I thought it showed what a good friend she was. The will reading was straightforward. Grandma left the house, her savings, about $280,000 after medical bills, and some jewelry to me. My brother got some cash and investments. My parents got a couple of sentimental items. Sarah wasn't mentioned, which made sense she wasn't family. But at the reading, she hugged me tight and whispered, "Whatever you need, I'm here. We'll go through her things together, just like we planned." That was the start of it all. I was a mess after the funeral. Teaching kindergarten is exhausting on a good day, and grief made it 10 times worse. Sarah offered to move into Grandma's house with me for a few weeks to help sort through everything. "You shouldn't be alone in that big place," she said. Her own apartment was tiny, and she was between jobs after getting laid off from her marketing gig. I said yes without hesitation. We'd had sleepovers there as teens. It felt right. For the first couple of weeks, it was great. We drank wine on the porch, went through old photo albums, cried, laughed at Grandma's ridiculous collection of frog figurines. Sarah handled a lot of the practical stuff, calling the utility companies, listing some furniture online. I was so drained I let her. Then little things started nagging at me. One night I came home from work and found her in Grandma's bedroom going through the jewelry box. "Just organizing," she said with a smile, but she closed it fast. A few days later, my favorite necklace, a simple gold locket Grandma gave me when I turned 18, was missing from my room. I asked Sarah about it. She looked confused. Maybe it got packed away with the donations? I'll check. It never turned up. Then came the first real twist. I got a call from Grandma's lawyer, Mr. Hargrove. He sounded surprised. "Emily, we need to discuss the transfer of the savings account. There was an authorization form submitted last week with your signature, requesting half be moved to a joint account." I hadn't signed anything. I told him that. He faxed over the form. It looked like my signature, but something was off. The loops on the Y's were wrong. I stared at it for a long time. When I confronted Sarah that evening, she was in the kitchen making pasta. I showed her the paper. Her face went pale for half a second, then she laughed it off. "Oh my God, Em. That must be from when I was helping with the estate paperwork. I probably mixed up some forms. You know how stressed I've been. I'll call Hargrove tomorrow and fix it." She hugged me, apologized a million times, and poured me a huge glass of wine. I let it go. She was my rock. Mistakes happen, right? But they kept happening. Money from the estate account started disappearing in small amounts, $500 here, $800 there. Sarah said it was for repairs and storage units. The porch steps did get fixed, but when I asked for receipts, she said she lost them. My brother Jake noticed too when he came by one weekend. "Sis, something's off with her," he said quietly while Sarah was in the shower. "She's been acting weird around me too." I brushed it off. Jake's always been protective, and Sarah had complained before that he never liked her. Then the second twist hit like a truck. I was looking for my birth certificate in Grandma's old desk for some paperwork, and found a letter, handwritten, dated 2 weeks before Grandma died. It was to me, but never mailed. "Emily, I've been thinking a lot. Sarah has been such a help, but she's been asking me for money. Said it was for her sick mom, but I checked and her mom is fine. Be careful, sweetheart. The house is yours. Don't let anyone take your future." My hands shook. Sarah's mom wasn't sick. She'd passed years ago. Why would Sarah lie to Grandma? I didn't say anything right away. I needed proof. I started paying closer attention. Sarah's between jobs situation seemed cushy. New clothes, a new phone, eating out a lot. One afternoon I came home early from a half day at school and heard her on the phone in the backyard. No, the transfer went through. Yeah, she's clueless. Just a few more weeks and I'll have enough to get out of here. My stomach dropped. Clueless? Me? I pretended I hadn't heard and went inside. That night I couldn't sleep. I checked the bank app Grandma had linked to my phone for the estate account. Another $12,000 gone, labeled as home maintenance. The next day I called Hargrove again and asked him to freeze everything. Then I did what I probably should have done. Months earlier I hired a private investigator. Cost me $3,000 up front, but worth every penny. The report came back in 10 days and destroyed me. Sarah wasn't just stealing. She'd been forging documents for months. The signature on that authorization, she admitted in text to a friend that she'd practiced it. Worse, she had been in contact with my ex-boyfriend, the one who cheated on me 2 years ago. They were planning to pressure me into selling the house so they could split the profits. After she convinced me it was too big for me alone. My ex was broke and in debt. Sarah had promised him a cut. But the biggest gut punch was the third twist. Sarah had been telling people, including some of my co-workers and family friends, that I was unstable. That after Grandma's death I was drinking too much, missing work, talking about selling everything and moving away. She even showed fake text screenshots. That's why a couple of my colleagues had been checking on me strangely. She'd positioned herself as the concerned best friend who was looking out for me. I sat in my car in the school parking lot after reading the PI report and cried until my eyes swelled. 15 years. Sleepovers, vacations, secrets, supporting each other through breakups and job losses. All of it fake. She was envious the whole time. She told the PI's source she deserved a piece of the good life because she'd put in the time with Grandma. I didn't confront her immediately. I wanted everything lined up. I talked to Jake. I showed him the letter, the report. He was furious. We got a real estate lawyer and a forensic accountant. Turns out Sarah had already siphoned almost $47,000. She also sold some of Grandma's antique furniture online under a fake account and pocketed the money. The escalation built over the next few weeks. I started documenting everything. I changed the locks while she was out one day, claiming it was routine maintenance. When she came back and couldn't get in, I met her on the porch with Jake there as witness. "What the hell, Em?" she said, laughing nervously, keys dangling from her hand. I kept my voice steady. "Sarah, I know about the money, the forgeries, the lies to Grandma, all of it." Her face changed. The sweet, supportive mask cracked. "You're paranoid. This is the grief talking. Hargrove said you submitted fake paperwork." Jake cut in. "We have proof." She tried to cry. "Em, we've been best friends forever. I would never." "Stop." I handed her the folder with the PI summary, redacted enough to protect the investigation but clear enough. "Get your stuff and leave. The police report is already filed." She screamed at me then. Called me ungrateful, said Grandma loved her more anyway, that I was a spoiled only granddaughter who never appreciated what she did. She accused me of stealing from her somehow, gaslighting like crazy. Neighbors came out to watch. She tried to shove past me into the house, but Jake blocked her. She left in tears, calling me a bitch as she drove off. But that wasn't the end. Oh no. She went nuclear. Posted on social media about how I'd kicked her out after she sacrificed everything to help me through grief. Tagged mutual friends. Some believed her. My phone blew up with concerned texts. Then she filed a civil suit claiming unjust enrichment, or some nonsense, saying she'd invested time and money into the house. Her lawyer was aggressive. That's when the fourth twist came out during discovery. Turns out Sarah had been sleeping with my brother Jake's best friend, who happened to be the son of one of the witnesses at the will reading. He'd seen her pressuring Grandma for changes to the will near the end. He came forward after Jake showed him the evidence. Sarah had been recording conversations with Grandma, trying to get her to sign over more assets while she was on heavy pain meds. The recordings were shaky legally, but they painted a damning picture when combined with bank records. The confrontation climax happened at the mediation before it went full court. Sarah showed up looking polished, playing the victim. Her lawyer talked about how she'd been like family. I sat there with my lawyer Jake, and for support my new boyfriend Matt, who'd been amazing through all this. When it was my turn to speak, I looked her dead in the eyes. "Sarah, you didn't just steal money. You stole my trust, my memories of Grandma's last days. You made me doubt myself. For what? Jealousy? Because your life didn't turn out the way you wanted? She sneered. You had everything handed to you. Perfect little Emily with the doting grandma. I was the one who sat with her when you were at work. The mediator looked uncomfortable. Then my lawyer dropped the recordings and the forensic findings. Sarah's face went white. Her lawyer asked for a recess. During it, she tried one last manipulation, texting me from the bathroom. Please, Em, we've been through too much. Drop this and I'll pay you back. I love you like a sister. I didn't reply. The settlement was brutal for her. She had to return every cent plus penalties, sell her car to cover part of it, and sign a gag order. The police pursued the forgery charges. She pled down to avoid jail, but got probation, restitution, and a criminal record. Her reputation in our town is trashed. Mutual friends dropped her like a hot coal after the full story came out in bits and pieces. In the resolution, I sold Grandma's house. It was too full of painful memories. I bought a smaller place closer to school, one with a yard for a dog I adopted. Jake and I are closer than ever. He apologized for not pushing harder earlier. Matt and I are talking about moving in together next year. The money from the estate is invested safely now, and I'm using some for a trip to Europe that Grandma always wanted me to take. Sarah tried one last pathetic move. She showed up at my new place a month after everything, looking thin and desperate. Can we talk? I lost my new job because of the background check. I have nothing. I stood in the doorway. You chose this, Sarah. Every lie, every theft, goodbye. I closed the door. She banged on it for a bit, then left. Update a few weeks later. The restitution checks started coming in. Small amounts but consistent. One of our old mutual friends reached out. She said Sarah moved 2 states away and is working retail. Apparently she's telling people there that I'm a vindictive ex-friend who framed her. Whatever. I'm finally sleeping through the night. Grandma's locket turned up in a box Sarah left behind, probably forgot to pawn it. I wear it every day. Roots, like she said. I thought closing the door on Sarah that night would feel like the final chapter. The kind of clean break you see in movies where the music swells and you exhale for the first time in months. It wasn't. The latch clicked, her fists hit the wood a few more times, and then silence. I stood there in my new living room, heart hammering so hard I could feel it in my teeth, while Matt rubbed slow circles on my back. The dog, a scruffy rescue mutt named Rosie, after Grandma whined at my feet like she could sense the ghost of everything still lingering. That was 3 months ago. The restitution checks keep coming, small and impersonal like clockwork. But every single one rips the scab off. $187.43 this week, $212 last week. I stare at the memo line that just says court ordered and wonder how a friendship that spanned 15 years could shrink down to wire transfers and probation reports. The first real wave of drama hit about 2 weeks after I shut the door. I was back at school, trying to pour myself into my kindergartners, those tiny humans who still believe the world is mostly fair, and that missing crayons are the worst tragedy imaginable. One afternoon during nap time, my phone buzzed in my pocket. Unknown number. I stepped into the hallway and answered. Emily, it's Karen from the old book club. Listen, Sarah's been calling people. She's saying you forged documents yourself to cut her out of the will, that you manipulated your grandma in the end. I didn't believe her, but some folks are starting to ask questions again. My stomach twisted. I leaned against the cool cinder block wall, the smell of tempera paint and apple juice suddenly making me nauseous. Sarah had moved 2 states away, but her poison still dripped through group chats and old mutual friends. I thanked Karen, hung up, and spent the rest of the day fighting back tears while helping 5-year-olds glue macaroni onto construction paper. That evening I told Matt and Jake over takeout. Jake's jaw tightened the way it does when he's trying not to explode. She's never going to stop, is she? The criminal record wasn't enough. Matt, bless him, squeezed my hand. He's a high school history teacher, steady in that quiet, researched way. We document everything. Screenshots, timestamps. If she escalates, we go back to the lawyer. But it did escalate. Slowly, realistically. The kind of slow burn that makes you question your own sanity. A few weeks later, I got served not full court this time, but a motion to modify the restitution schedule. Sarah's new lawyer claimed financial hardship and that the original amounts were punitive. I had to drive 3 hours to appear at a hearing. Sitting in that sterile courtroom, watching her across the aisle, looking thinner, her hair dyed a cheap box blonde, I felt a confusing mix of rage and pity. She wouldn't meet my eyes. Her lawyer spun this whole narrative about how she'd been grieving too and made poor decisions under duress. I almost laughed out loud. Duress. as if sitting with my dying grandmother while secretly recording her on painkillers was some kind of victimhood. The judge didn't buy most of it, but he did lower the monthly payments slightly. Small win for her. Another twist of the knife for me. Driving home that night, rain hammering the windshield, I finally let myself feel the full weight. I pulled over at a rest stop and cried harder than I had since the PI report, 15 years. The time she held my hair back after my first bad breakup. The road trip we took after college where we got lost in the mountains and laughed until we cried. All of it poisoned now. I called Grandma's old number just to hear her voicemail one more time. I still pay for the line. Hey, sweetie, it's Rose. Leave a message and I'll call you back between my stories and garden time. Her voice cracked something open in me. I whispered, I miss you. I'm so tired of fighting shadows. Matt was waiting when I got home. He didn't say much, just made me tea and listened while I talked in circles. That night we stayed up late on the couch, Rosie curled between us, and I told him things I hadn't even told the therapist I finally started seeing. How sometimes I still wake up reaching for the old group chat with Sarah. How I catch myself wondering if I missed the red flags for years because I needed to believe someone loved me unconditionally after my parents' messy divorce. Matt didn't try to fix it. He just said, you're allowed to grieve the friend who never really existed. That loss is real, too. Life started stitching itself back together in small, stubborn ways. I threw myself into the new house, painted the kitchen a soft sage green that Grandma would have loved, planted a tiny garden in the backyard with some of her heirloom seeds I'd saved. The kindergartners kept me grounded. There's something healing about teaching kids that it's okay to feel big feelings and still show up the next day. One little girl drew me a picture of Miss Emily's brave house with a big sun and stick figure dog. I cried in the supply closet during recess, but drama doesn't let you heal in peace. About a month after the hearing, Jake called me at 11 p.m., voice tight. You need to see this. He sent a link. Sarah had started a TikTok under a different name, but it was obviously her. Emotional monologue videos about toxic family dynamics and friends who betray you after you sacrifice everything. She never named me outright the gag order, but the details were close enough. The house with the wraparound porch. The grandmother who favored one person. Comments poured in, girl run. You dodged a bullet. Lawyer up sis. Some of our old mutual friends liked the posts. My stomach turned. I sat on my bed staring at my phone until 2 a.m. Then I did something I'm not proud of. I scrolled through years of old photos. Us at prom. Us drinking cheap wine on Grandma's porch the night we turned 21. Sarah's arm around me, both of us laughing. The version of her in those pictures felt so real, it hurt. Was any of it genuine? Or was she always calculating? The next morning I woke up angry. Not the explosive kind, the quiet, determined kind. I forwarded everything to my lawyer. We sent a cease and desist. Sarah took the videos down within 48 hours, but not before a few had been screen recorded and shared in our old circles. The town gossip mill spun again. My phone buzzed with texts from people I hadn't spoken to in years. Some supportive, some fishing for details. One former friend actually asked if I'd consider mediating a reconciliation because life's too short. I laughed so hard I almost choked on my coffee. 2 weeks ago I got a letter in the mail. No return address, but the handwriting was Sarah's. My hands shook opening it on the kitchen counter. Inside was a single page and Grandma's gold locket. The one I thought she'd pawned. The one that had mysteriously disappeared months earlier. The letter was short, messy. I found this in my things when I was packing to leave the state. I meant to sell it but couldn't. Maybe some part of me still knew it was wrong. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I know I ruined everything. The jealousy ate me alive for years, watching you have this perfect support system while my life kept falling apart. I told myself I deserved a piece of it. I was wrong. The recordings, the lies to your grandma. I hate who I became. I'm in therapy now. Court mandated, but still. Maybe one day I'll be someone worth knowing again. I'm sorry. Truly this time. By Sarah. I read it 3 times. Then I sat on the floor with Rosie in my lap and cried until my shirt was soaked. Not because I wanted her back in my life, I didn't, but because closure sometimes comes in the ugliest, most imperfect packages. I put the locket on. It felt heavier than before. I didn't reply to the letter. Some bridges aren't meant to be rebuilt, but I did show it to Jake and Matt. Jake wanted to drive up there and confront her. Matt suggested we just file it with the lawyer in case anything else happened. I compromised and scanned it for the records. Then I tucked the original into Grandma's old Bible on my shelf. A reminder that people are complicated and broken, and sometimes the best thing you can do is let them go. Last weekend, I took the trip to Europe Grandma always talked about. Just me and Rosie, who came along for the pet-friendly parts. I stood in a lavender field in Provence, the sun warm on my face, and felt something shift. Not full healing yet, there are still bad days, where the betrayal feels fresh but forward motion. I scattered some of Grandma's garden seeds in a meadow there, silly and probably illegal, but it felt right. Matt met me for the last week in Italy. We ate too much pasta, got lost in Venice, and on our last night, he told me he loved me for the first time. Not in some grand gesture, but quietly while we watched the sunset from a rooftop. Realistic, grounded, the kind of love that shows up for court hearings and 2 a.m. crying sessions. Sarah still exists out there. The restitution checks still arrive. Mutual friends occasionally drop hints that she's struggling. Part of me hopes she gets better not for me, but because no one deserves to be consumed by their worst choices forever. Mostly, though, I'm focused on my own roots. The ones Grandma left me. The new ones I'm growing with people who actually show up.